Hi there, I'm Jason Ayers, founder and president of OptionSource.net, and thank you for joining us for an introduction to index options. Let us first understand what an index is. An index typically represents the broad equity market or a specific sector. It is formed by the companies, typically the largest, of the market or sector in question. The index value is a performance measure and is used by mutual fund companies and portfolio managers as a benchmark. For investors, indices are typically used to get a glimpse of the overall state of the market. Most indices are referred to as being notional, which simply means that the investor cannot buy or sell physical shares of the index. However, exchange-traded funds and mutual funds that replicate indices are available for investors who wish to gain exposure to a specific market or sector. The value of an index is determined by the weighting of each component stock. An index that uses a company's market capitalization as a method of weighting is referred to as a capitalization weighted index. It is also known as a market value weighted index. In other words, the larger a company's market capitalization, the greater its influence on the value of the index. This method of weighting is used for the S&P/TSX Composite Index. Although most of the broadly used market indices are cap-weighted indices, some indices use a different method. A price-weighted index measures the stock's influence in proportion to its share price. Stocks with a higher share value are given more weight and will have a greater influence on the index value. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is an example of a price-weighted index, tracking the 30 largest stocks of U.S. companies. Stock market indices may be classified in many different ways. For example, a global stock market index will track companies based on specific criteria regardless of geographical location. This can include market capitalization and trading volume. Two examples of global indices are the MSCI World Index, which tracks over 1,600 stocks worldwide, and the S&P Global 100, tracking 100 large multinational companies which are highly liquid. On a smaller scale, indices can also be national. National indices reflect the performance of the stock market in a specific country. Examples include the S&P/TSX Composite in Canada, the Dow Jones in the United States, the Nikkei 225 in Japan, the FTSE 100 in the UK, and the DAX 30 in Germany. There are also indices that have been constructed to track the performance of a specific sector of the market. The S&P/TSX Global Gold Index, the S&P/TSX Capped Financials Index, the S&P/TSX Capped Information Technology Index, and the S&P/TSX Capped Energy Index all track companies of a specific sector of the Canadian stock market. In Canada, the S&P/TSX 60 is the leading benchmark for the large capitalization segment of the Canadian equity market. The index tracks the 60 largest companies trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange and includes companies from 10 different industry sectors. Following is a chart representing the weight of each industry sector in the S&P/TSX 60. Those sectors include financials, energy, materials, telecommunications, and industrials, as well as consumer discretionary, consumer staples, healthcare, utilities, and information technology. The index reflects the core of the Canadian economy with a heavy weight represented by the financials, energy, and materials. The sector weighting is modeled after the S&P/TSX Composite Index, which is determined by using the market capitalization of each company. The sector weighting is reviewed on a quarterly basis and may be subject to change. The S&P/TSX 60 represents a market capitalization of over $1 trillion, which corresponds to approximately 73% of Canada's equity market capitalization. Because of the exposure it gives to a large percentage of the economy, the index provides Canadian investors with insight into the overall direction of the Canadian equity market, which is often used to guide their investment decisions. In order to learn more about index-based products, including futures and options, I invite you to consult the video library at m-x.tv. Thank you for joining us.